Most excellent. So I'm very excited in this new year to motivate myself and to motivate you guys to get a little bit of heart rate up and so on. And we were talking a little bit before I started the video, but I didn't mention it. One of the reasons I want to do that is also because it is so good for our immune system. And there is a lot going on right now, right? I mean, I know people who've had chest and sinus things for weeks. There's another round of COVID going through. And I now see that Wisconsin is a hotspot for norovirus. That's so exciting. So I also found out from my yogis yesterday that hand sanitizer is not effective on norovirus. So it's water and soap. So lots of it. Anyway, and you'll see me touching my eyes and stuff. My eyes are itching like crazy. It's allergy stuff, which has been ongoing. So I'm not sick. But if I blow my nose, etc., that's what's going on. But I also won't be getting in your space very much. I think the holidays often have, I mean, hopefully you had a beautiful, just sweet, relaxing time. But for a lot of people, there are different types of stress that can be involved and a lot of go, go, go. And so one thing that we're going to do tonight is practice that transitioning back and forth from the doer to the non-doer. And I feel like all times of the year, that's a great practice because just the way that we lead our lives, most of us and in this society, there's just a lot going on and a lot on our awareness. And so it becomes very easy to be, without even realizing it, slightly poised to take action, slightly poised to make a decision or to be called upon or have a thing ding and look at a thing, right? It's just very, I feel like there's like a training that our nervous system has gotten in that makes us kind of on semi-alert, if not high alert. And so I want to practice winding that back. And sometimes the best way to do that, same thing with a muscle that's kind of hyperactive and tight, is sometimes to actually tighten it and then let it go and tighten it and let it go. And to sort of observe, how hard is that? Are you really letting go? So throughout our practice, I'm going to be asking you to do a check-in on yourself. And if at any point I'm inviting you to move out of non-doer and you're like, no, I need to keep softening. Fine. We're not going to get ditched. Do your thing and come back in when you're ready. Some of what we're doing tonight is a little wrist intensive or wrist heavy. Again, if it gets to be too much, I offer some options, but always just do what you need to do to feel, I hope, really great at the end of our practice and lead you into this next week feeling good too. Anything else before we start? All right, awesome. We're going to start face down on the abdomen, head this way towards me. And I'm having us do this in part because it's a very introverted shape. And again, nothing about this shape says you're about to do anything, right? Everything about this says, let's just be here in this moment, in this body, in this breath. And to help with that, let's come in to our sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide through the nose, asking, is there more? And we know that our sighing breaths actually help calm our amygdala, the alarm center of our brain. And excitingly, when we sigh, it actually can help other people's systems calm, even though they may not know it consciously. So it's just a lovely offering, this sort of acknowledgement that we're good, there's nothing to accomplish. Yeah. When that feels complete, I'm going to invite you to come into a little bit of ujjayi breath. If you find that difficult in this shape, feel free to let it go and you can come into it later. Essentially, you're contracting your throat just a little bit as if you were about to clear it. And then as the breath passes through, it makes kind of a sound of wind in the trees or ocean waves. This breath, I find, is wonderful white noise for the busy brain, a cleansing wind, if you will. And as I mentioned earlier, when we were all talking, ujjayi, especially when you're becoming more engaged and breath is becoming more rapid, can actually improve your VO2 max and how your body is able to use the oxygen that's coming in with your breath. As you're watching your breath, I hope you can watch for and find the pause, the gap between the two parts of the active breath. Feeling your belly move against the floor, feeling it expand into your low back. Continuing with deep breath awareness, I'm going to ask you to add a hip rocking movement. So I'm simply rocking kind of my hips side to side, just leaving your legs as they are. And then rocking. A little wag, if you will. And this has some wonderful ramifications for your digestive organs, but also the vagus nerve. It's kind of a tonifying movement for that vagus nerve, helping affirm, I am whole, I am well, I am safe. If at any point you feel neck tension, change the position of the head, looking the other way. As we do just a few more breaths, see if you can get them to grow, expand past the former limitation. And then coming to a standstill, notice you might feel a little bit of vibration, a little fuzzy. I hope so. Now I'm going to have you bring your arms just gently forward if you don't already have them like up under your face. And we're going to actually be anchoring the pelvis and then inhaling, extending the spine, looking out over the right shoulder. Exhaling, return forehead to the hands or the floor or whatever's comfortable. When the inhale comes, extending the spine, looking out over your left shoulder. Exhaling, returning. We'll do that again. With each part of the breath, I like to ask, is there more? So inhaling, extending, continuing to watch and ask, can I get any more inhale here? Ujjayi. And in the exhale time, you should be able to settle and invite the body to melt and soften for that next inhale. And relax your head to whatever position is comfortable. Bend both knees and windshield wiper the low leg. So we often just do this windshield wipering side to side. I'm going to have you add a little movement that I think of as sort of a circling. So instead of just side to side, take it to one side, then kind of away from you, and then to the other side. And you can either kind of go back and forth in like a U shape or make full circles going first one way and then the other. So however you do it, we are basically exploring the full range of motion of the knee joints. And you might even feel that it gets into your hips and low back and the side joints. If you're feeling anything tender, obviously then go more slowly and gently. Good. And then please melt. Deep belly breath that registers into the low back. So we're going to roll onto our right side and keep our right leg completely extended to support us as we reach for the left ankle for quadricep stretch. And we're going to play with subtlety here, folks. So first of all, we want to make sure that we can bring our knee down so that it's straight in line with the hip joint. If you can't do that, you might need to grab a strap or scarf to put around your ankle. And there is a bin of straps up here if you need one. Then squeeze the glutes a little forward. This will make sure that we're not crimping that low back. And I'm going to ask you to make a very subtle movement, and I mean like 5 to 10 degrees, bringing your knee a little forward and then bringing it back, finding that edge, releasing from the edge, and once again, deepening the edge. And we can do the same thing laterally with that knee moving just up a little bit and then bringing it back down into that deeper alignment closer to the other knee. And I'm hoping you're getting to feel a bit of massage, in a sense, all around those knee joints. Again, if something is hurting or ouchy, please listen to that. Find your place of best stretch and take one more really deep breath. Is there more? And then release the leg and just flop to your belly, get heavy. I hope you experience the most beautiful big breath wave possible up the body. And we'll go to the other side, rolling onto your left side, supporting your head with that left arm. Left leg is active and straight. And reaching back for that right ankle. Something I didn't remember to suggest on the other side, but that's really important in these quad stretches, is actually has to do with the shoulder. Please let your shoulder blade be drawn in towards the spine and the shoulder head down the body. Sometimes when people are grabbing for the ankle, they kind of hike the shoulder or rotate it forward in the joint. And really, this is a marvelous chest stretch that we have available here as well. And again, playing a little bit with degrees, bringing the knee a little forward and then back as you again squeeze the glutes forward, letting the knee go a little away from the straight leg and towards. And eventually finding your place of best stretch, taking the deepest breath yet, and then flopping onto that. And of course, you're welcome to do sighing breaths throughout our practice. Otherwise, returning to that slow, deep and wide ujjayi. A couple other points of introversion we can add. Lightly connect the tip of the tongue, the roof of the mouth, with the rest of the tongue soft. And it says, I'm awake in my body at this moment, but there's no striving. Yeah, make sure there's space between the molars too. And then turning your gaze up and in, looking behind that third eye, you're welcome to bring those into any part of our practice. We're going to come into our next engagement, forearm plank. I know you've missed it. Actually, how many of you do forearm plank on your own? All right. At one time. All right, awesome. About half. I like it. Well, we're going to get you addicted again. This is going to remind you how much you love it. So one of the things that I like about forearm plank is that it's not hard on our wrists, and if we do it right, it's not hard on our low back. And if you would, do your first moment of forearm plank on your knees, because I want you to just see that sometimes that can give you a state of ease. It definitely takes out the potential for having it hurt your feet or your feet rotating out, which will kind of destabilize your back. So just check it out. We don't want to be swagging. We want to make sure that we're almost in a little bit of a pelvic tuck. So I should feel strong enough in my core that I can actually kind of rock my elbows back and forth. If you come onto your feet, make sure that you're engaging the thigh bones towards the sky and squeezing the inner thighs towards each other. Let's see if we can find 3 slow, deep, and wide right here. Ujjayi. If you're quivering, join the club. You might notice a little wave of heat. Hope so. One more. And release. Get comfy. If your back needs child's pose, go there. Otherwise, you might enjoy rocking the hips side to side. Did everybody find a version of forearm plank that felt okay? Yes? Okay, good, because we'll be doing it a couple more times too in our practice. Now we're going to actually come into a pose that we do a lot, and it's part of dog series, cobra pose. And it's one that I see get kind of misdone. I see misalignments that I think are hard actually on our body. And so I really want to check in with it today. So the first act is we anchor our pelvic triangle, so pubic bone and hip bone. So it's really elongating my low back. And at no point do I want to shorten or crimp my back. So to start with, figuring out where the hands should go, I actually want you to find your shoulder alignment first. So you're just going to have your palms hovering off the floor. And then I want you to circle your shoulder heads kind of up by the ears, then to the ceiling, and then down like you're trying to put them in your back pockets. And hopefully you have what I call no wings, no shrugs. Your elbows are kind of in, shoulders are down, neck is long, and then just plant those hands. Now you're ready. Inhale, extend the spine like you're trying to bring your head off the front of the mat. Exhale, return. Do just a couple more like that. In that return, then you could soften those glutes again. And inhale, engage. Engaging and soften. Engaging and soften. Now we can do a king cobra, and that's where we would engage a little with the arms. I'm going to ask you to try it, just see how it feels in your body. Again, make sure no wings, no shrugs. Engage a little with the hands. You're drawing the heart forward. You are not pushing your torso back, which is going to compress the spine. All right. Now, if you would just relax a moment, watch me. We're doing something a little fun that I've decided is called tortoise pose because I can't think of a better name. You guys can help me with naming if you want. But you essentially enter it with that same glute squeeze, thighs anchored, same alignment, but I'm going to push until my hips are off the floor. So it's basically knee down, upward dog, right? And I'm going to inhale here and then watch. I'm going to let go with my hands and rock and roll. So push and release. And it's so fun. And then that's how you press back to child's pose, meaning you still keep those glutes and thighs activated. You create this and then you go back. And that is completely different than how I see a lot of people wiggle their way out, with all kinds of wings and shrugs and low back compression, right? So if you want to porpoise with me, go for it. Anchor that pelvis, plant the hands. At some point, you're going to push with the hands, keep those glutes really squeezed, and keep your knees on the floor. When you're ready, keep everything engaged, except just let those arms go and catch yourself again. Yeah. Oh, I wish you guys could see this on camera. I won't because I want to preserve privacy. And hopefully you're having fun at home, but and not nose planting. I only have one person do that. But yeah, it's kind of fun. You discover your body and space in a different way and you get a little hot. Yeah. When you're ready, press back child's pose and love up that low back. When you're ready, extend those arms forward. The tailbone is as far back as it can go. And we're just going to walk the arms a little to the right. As you're doing that, try to keep both arms straight. So it's almost like you're spider walking your fingers forward, away from the tailbone the whole time. Letting the breath wave, lift and settle your body. Sometimes it feels to me like I need to lift my torso and a big inhale and exhale, settle again, right? So anything organic that you're inspired to do, go for it. When you decide to go to the left, please lift your head and chest a little bit before moving those arms. We don't want to be in a really deep shoulder extension and move laterally, just because it could be dangerous. Is this side different? I'm hoping you're getting some stretch, not just into that kind of outer part of the armpit, lat connection, etc., but all the way down the lats, maybe even to the hip joint connection. I like thinking of the breath as kind of a love note, a little love message to the tight parts of our body. As you're ready, come on back to center. On a nice long exhale, cat back, bring the knees in under the hips. Let that head hang. Inhaling cow pose. Is there more? Exhaling cat back. So a few things we want to be aware of here. One is we'd love to have intelligent hand position. So the fingers are spread wide. We're really anchoring through the index finger and thumb. This is important in our plank, our downward dog, and so on. We also want to make sure that our hands really are directly under our shoulders. If you feel the weight, good instincts, you got it. If you feel the weight kind of in that palm close to the wrist area, that's usually an indication that your hands are too far forward. And then just check the shoulders, see if you can slide them down. The next time you're in cat back, we're going to add a little wag. Take your ribs left and look out over your right shoulder. How far back can you go? And then switching, ribs go right, look left. Then we'll use our next exhale, cat back, to move to downward dog. So my personal version of downward facing dog, I really prefer a little more space between my hands and my feet as I go there. I've got pretty tight hamstrings, so this just lets me find a more comfortable zone. And keeping the knees bent, and especially in the beginning, maybe forever. But then now pedaling. One heel towards the floor and then the other. And then please hold one heel towards the floor. We don't care if it's touching. We're just getting a load of that deep calf stretch. Guards. I'm going to ask you to come into plank with me in a very particular way. Please take a nice long inhale. Exhale, I want you to make a cat back. So you're just really rounding through your spine, using that to come forward into plank. And don't let that rounding go. I mean, you could let it go a little bit, but I want to make sure you're staying in a tuck versus the hip sway, because I want you to try hopping. Yeah. Nice. Exhale, press back downward facing dog. Then we're going to take our feet as wide as we can on the mat and slowly walk the hands back to the feet. Ragdoll. Deep breath, sending those hips side to side. I know holidays can involve a lot of sitting. Seems like too, which can be really hard. Sometimes sitting is harder on your body than activity. It's so tight through the hips and so on. And as you're ready, we're going to bring our hands up onto our shins and extend our spine. Little jackknife pose. Exhale, kind of tuck the tailbone to sit to your chair. And maybe you're in a bar stool, maybe you're in a deeper squat, whatever you want to be here. Couple of breaths. Breath waves. On a long inhale, root and rise, push the ceiling away. Prayer hands, palm to palm. Tune into your own heart rate. And then roll out those wrists, roll out those ankles. We're going to be coming into just a little jumping. And so I like to just start by literally just a very teensy bit of lift off, right? So I'm not creating a ton of impact when I'm landing. But I want to mention that bouncing is so great for our lymph. It's great for our guts. And actually for females in particular, it's good for breast tissue too. I know it's not exactly what we want to be doing when we're out in public, but luckily nobody's looking at you and there's no mirror, so who cares? But it's actually really, really healthy for us. I sometimes like letting my cheeks get loose and feel my lips. Right? These are all just forms of distraction. You didn't notice that your heart rate's going in. But then I also like noticing how fun it can be to do different things. Whoop, 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 whoop. Little dance never hurt. Or pretending that you're jump roping, which I personally think has to be one of the best exercises for winter. But like, how many houses do you have that you can use a jump rope in? Right? That's spinning something. And I think about all those girls, I think it's a group of girls in Brooklyn that they did a documentary on who had perfected the art of jump rope. Look it up sometime, see if you can find it. what these girls do is amazing. Okay, just a little more. I want you to know my new commitment is I'm going to do this for 3 minutes in the morning. And I found out that Here Comes the Sun, the Beatles, is exactly that. Unless you do some sort of remix, in which case not my problem. But that could be a new little challenge. 3 minutes. Here comes the sun. Whatever makes you smile. And pause. Bring those hands to prayer again. Slow the breath. Nice work, folks. Gonna go sideways on the mat. Let's go. And at first, we're just going side to side, saying hello again to that kind of lateral use of the joints. And would it feel good to take the feet wider? If your knee is trying to go past your ankle, a lot of times taking the feet wider actually feels so much better. And then when you decide to come down into this deep inside groin hip stretch, you can really enjoy it. If going all the way to the floor is too much, you could have hands on thighs. But I know that being upside down in an inversion is a challenge with the heart rate up, right? So just, if it's too much, come on up. Otherwise, just see if you can calm it all down. And slowly explore the other side. Notice there is so much more space inside of us to inhale and take advantage of, right? There's the sides, the back. When you're ready, coming to your center. If your feet are really wide, you might want to bring it in a little bit. Hands on thighs. We're going to come up and inhale into a cow pose here. So we're tilting that tailbone back, heart drawn forward. Exhale and tuck the tailbone, cat back, and then come up with jet airplane arms. Just enjoy that palm of the heart open. You guys sound awesome. We're going to go side to side again. And this time we're going to add arms. And so when I talk about this, I find often people are trying to reach to the side. We don't want to do that. It's a really weird torque on the joints. So you're going side to side, and you're reaching a little bit to the side of center in front of you. Okay. So if you think about like if you were rollerblading or skate skiing, right? You're reaching to the side, you're kind of reaching forward. And then play, please, with counter reaching through your back arm. So really get that back arm to click straight. Make sure you're not trying to go too high with the back arm or it'll rotate that shoulder head forward again. But we really want to get those triceps activated. We're going to be doing it again in a minute when we're doing kind of a what I call a mini chaturanga, which is often more powerful than those bigger movements we do. And would it feel good to just sort of launch yourself from one foot? Yeah, a little flight. And you can do this in a way that is just so soft and liquid, or you can pretend you are in your own Olympic event. Soft jaw, soft smile. Again, just light connection, tip of the tongue. So here we are, breathing, being powerful in our body, in such a state of peace. A few more. And slow it. Inhale, root rise. Squeeze those glutes. Exhale, swan dive fold. 3 breaths. And on those inhales, it might feel good to kind of lift your torso, give yourself a little more room. On the exhale, hold more deeply, strong core. On your next inhale, hands on thighs, cow pose, tailbone back forward. Exhaling, cat back, and then rise up, jet airplane arms. So our bodies relax and our shoulders are sliding down. Hmm. Roll out wrists, anything that would feel good. I always roll out my ankles after I come in from a straddle. Check it out, see what you need. We're going to come to the front of the mat. We're going to be doing a little bit of lunging. I want to remind everybody there are two really distinct ways that we can play with the back foot in a lunge. So we could have that back foot up in a crescent lunge, as we call it, or flat in warrior one. And not everybody's going to be comfortable in warrior one if your feet are too far apart, because the stretches can be magnificent, right? So you have to tilt your stance perhaps. The critical piece is I want us to find in either one of those the ability for the hip bones to be shining forward, right? So what I don't want is to be kind of partway between things. This is a very vulnerable, weak position. We're not stable. So I want to be able to shine, for example, let's all take the left foot back. I want to be able to shine right hip bone back, left hip bone forward until I feel neutral. And I almost feel like I can squeeze my inner thighs and really feel that stability. So whether your foot is flat or you're in that crescent lunge, I don't care. Inhale, open the arms up to the ceiling. On the exhale, we're going to rotate right. And you don't have to go very far for this to be useful, okay? Inhale, give it a little room. Exhale, rotate right and more and feel like someone's pulling on your arms. One more. Lovely. Coming back to center, bring your hands behind your head and just inhale and open that heart a little bit. Now don't get extreme. Don't reach and crane through the head. Don't lean back or you're going to crunch your back. This is just a beautiful heart opener. Elbows are moving back. And on exhale, slowly release. Plant the hands and step back downward facing down. Your choice of holding or resting, so you can just hold downward dog, you go to child's pose, or if you'd like, please come into flow with me. You could do cow cat or dog series. So here we go. Inhaling to your plank. You might check and see if you can hop. Exhaling to your chaturanga. Bend your elbows just 1 inch, folks, just an inch, maybe 2. And then when you need to, drop. Inhale, cobra, that beautiful integrity you've been practicing. And strong core, no wings, no shrugs. Downward facing dog. We can either walk our hands back, or if you're up for a little jumping adventure, inhale, look forward. Exhale, hop up off the floor and bring your feet forward. You got it. Forward fold, touch the mat. On your inhale, root and rise. Exhale. Anybody else have a hot face? Yeah. I will tell you, it's not my favorite look or my favorite feeling. Honestly, I kind of hate it. I'm like, I want to put like a cool rag, but I'm also like, yay, this is good. It's, you know, you talk about how cars need to be driven on the freeway every once in a while and blow out the crud out of the spark plugs. I think that's kind of what's happening for us. So, all right, we're going to step back with the right foot. Again, you're in crescent lunge or you're in short or warrior one stance. Hip bones, headlights. Inhale. Is there more? Exhale, rotate left. Just a little spinal twist. Inhale, return a little towards center, and then exhale again. So if you have your right foot forward, you'll want to rotate right. So if for some reason you've got the other foot forward, just want to be in a little spinal twist. Last time. Then come back to center. If you liked that little chest and shoulder stretch, let's do it again. Hands behind the head. If you don't dig it, do something else. Breathing, noticing, and hoping in your mind's eye, you can send some attention and energy down through the inner line of your feet, specifically that front foot. That's a huge part of our balance and our strength. And if you do that, I'm hoping you might almost feel like if someone were to come and try and push you, that you would just stick to the floor. You'd be like, we're good. Inhaling, slow release. Exhaling, downward facing dog. You might pedal, just notice what you're needing. And we're going to do a little more core stability and knee building here. If hands are getting irritated, table might be an alternative. Slowly take your right leg flying without letting anything else change. So notice if you bend your elbow or your shoulders slide. Slowly return. So it should really feel like the majority of your body is just frozen. Just that leg is. And slowly return. Beautiful. Come on down to table pose. Roll out those wrists a little moment. We're going to come from here into our forearm plank. I personally love knee down forearm plank, so don't ever feel like you're not doing enough in that version. But so if you get those forearms down, take a moment to check where your core and your shoulders are at before you step back. So shoulders are down, beautiful belly towards spine, then step back one leg, the other, and maybe drop to knees if that's your version. If you're in the feet version, you have the opportunity to raise one foot at a time slowly, like we just did in downward facing dog. So this is another wonderful place to do some heat building, core building that isn't wrist intensive. Downward facing dog has the benefit, of course, of being an inversion, which is amazing. When you come down to your belly, I ask you to practice deep melting. However you do it. Hmm. When you get your breath any deeper into the back body, find that breath wave moving up the ribs, up into that shoulder blade zone, which of course your lungs are there. They're not in the front and in the back as well. I'm going to come into some back strengthening, some flight. So first we'll come into our wider plane with our arms straight out from the shoulders, palms down. And so first, all we're going to do actually is anchor the pelvis and raise the hands off the floor. So not the head, not the legs, just the hands. Bring the hands on the arms off the floor. You got it. And ideally, we begin to feel, a little bit of burning maybe, but not pain, but just some intensity across the deltoids and the upper back as we isolate those muscles. What I like about this practice is your head, neck area should be able to stay relaxed, right? Supported on the floor. Breathing into the intensity. And when you're ready, on an exhale, just melt and bring those arms wherever you need to. I'll invite us to return to that with the option of adding that spinal extension, kind of that cobra back, if you will. And that's, again, it's just an option. If you're like, that was already pretty intense, I'm just going to stick with that. If you add the extension, it then ignites more of that kind of mid-back range. If you start to feel it in low back, don't go as high. We really should not be feeling it in that low back region. So when you're ready, palms straight out from the shoulders, 90 degrees. You got it. Arms raised, spine extends. If you like raising the legs as well, great. Just again, make sure you're kind of reaching through the legs more than lifting. Would it feel good to slowly sweep those arms forward? Watch out for water bottles into your Superman. So you could always Bring them in and then forward if you have to. Deep breath, and when you release, your choice to your belly or child's pose. If you go to child's pose, please no veins, no trunks, core strength. Yeah, I had fun this morning when I was doing my little Here Comes the Sun thing, and I realized what I'm going to do for you guys actually progressively. I'm going to try my jumping practice with the different 3-minute songs, and I'm going to make a Spotify list for us all. And then I'll give you my list. But by the way, I'm taking suggestions. So if you get into this and you want to send me some good songs that kind of just, make you want to bounce. I mean, it can't be like Amazing Grace or something, right? There's probably a remix of that that's bouncy, but you know what? All right. We're going to return to downward facing dog. We're going to be coming into a little bit of a lunging flow. Again, if for any reason that's not working for you and you want to play with something else, as you just saw, there's lots of other places for core and for feet and even lunging. When you're going to be raising your leg in downward dog, it's so much better to have your feet not very far apart. So I did about 4 inches. As you're ready, slowly raise that right leg again. Make sure you're stable. Then if you'd like, add a hip over. So I'm going to bend the knee, my right knee, and I'm going to send my right knee high towards the ceiling. I'm going to make sure that I'm squeezing my left butt cheek towards that right edge of the mat so that I'm not wagging out to the left. And I'm going to push strongly through both arms. On the exhale, I'm going to create a little cat back and bring my right knee forward, planting my right foot in a lunge to the outside of the mat. Inhale without wagging, so stay forward from heel to crown, rotate open to the sky, right up. Exhaling, release, downward facing dog, right leg swap. One more inhale, opening if you like. Exhaling, this is an offering I don't often make. Pigeon pose here. I know we often do pigeon alternate for a lot of good reasons. So if you prefer it, if you find it better for your knees, low back, go for it. So it's right here, we're going to settle into a good hip stretch, and we're going to add a little bellows breathing. So rapidly in and out through the nose. And a long inhale, and exhaling through the mouth. Nice work. We're going to roll out onto our right hip. I'm going to bring my left leg around, and if you can you can do it with your muscles without sort of dragging it. Keep it elevated. Bring it around so you can see what I'm doing. And you're going to bring your right foot to the outside of your right knee. You got it. Now, some people will just easily, comfortably settle their left butt onto the ground. That's not me. Probably not everybody in this room, and it doesn't need to be. It's the good news. So I'm going to keep my right hand supporting me a little bit. I'm going to use my left hand on my knee, and I'm going to draw my chest towards my knee. And you might feel that again, it's almost like a little bit of a pigeon stretch. If you don't need the support of that right hand, and you can hook your right arm around the left knee, now I can bring my left hand down and create even more of a little twist. I deepen my hug towards that side. Now I'm going to release. I'm going to plant my right hand. I'm going to take my middle and index finger between my big and second toe, and I'm going to fly my leg. Yeah. And you can even swing it around. And if you're not getting a straight leg, see if you can kind of bend and straighten a few times. Just encourage those muscles to play. You got it. And I'm going to release it into a cross, roll forward, and either step or jump back downward facing dog. I have an ankle I'm taking care of right now, so I'm not jumping into that position. If you would like a little dog series in between, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, right here, we're going to slowly send left leg flying. Keep it anchoring through thumb, index finger, bend that top. Oh no, we're not going to get that yet. Hold on. Check it out. Just make sure you're stable. Nothing changes. Then bend the knee. Squeeze the right glute. Check that you're not leaning, giving anything up. Exhaling slowly forward to your lunge. Bring it to the outside. And try to keep your torso straight and long, not wingy, and open up with that left arm. You guys look awesome, by the way. Yes. Exhaling, core support, release, take that leg flying. Another hip opener if you want it. Lift that knee and slowly round that belly and back to lightly lay your left knee behind your left wrist for pigeon. So one of the reasons that pigeon is often dangerous for people is because people often take their foot and crank it forward. So, as long as your heel is by your kind of hip bone, generally, most healthy knees are fine with this and you won't feel any knee pain. But if you're feeling anything funky, come on in. Support the head, maybe with stacked fists or the palms. If you are wanting a little more intensity, you can use your back foot to kind of pull back a little bit. Saying hello to sensation. I hope you've found an edge. And we'll come into one more round of bellows breathing. And this is really isolated. It's just the abdomen pumping. There's no neck work. So the face is soft, just a light connection, tip of the tongue, ujjayi. And then a long inhale, is there more? And exhale, dumping through the mouth. Coming slowly up and rolling out to that left hip. Swinging that leg around. Bringing it, planting the right foot to the outside of the left knee. You got it. And so just like we did before, you're kind of playing with like, how much of a hug can I get here? I'm noticing on this side, it's actually much easier for me to immediately involve my left arm around my right knee. On the other side, I kind of had to use my propping arm for a while, right? So this can also tell us a lot about any torque that we might have. The breath is the change agent. Transforming tension, bringing us present. When you're ready to come on out, you might plant that left hand, get a hold of your big toe, middle and index finger of the right hand, moving through the big and second toe. And let your leg fly. Like anytime we get to play with mobility or straightening the leg when we aren't bearing weight is so valuable. And release. We're going to come on down with our backs. Have your block handy because we're going to raise the hips and place it right under the pelvic triangle. So that's that bony triangle at the top of the crack of the butt. It should not be in the low back vertebrae. We've got two distinct shapes here. I like starting with the bent knee version and just letting my low back kind of decompress here. The other version or part of the pose is the legs extended so the body is just draped. When you go to do that, make sure that your pelvis doesn't dump forward. So the block needs to be low enough down on the body that you're just a sort of perfect little draped ribbon over the block. If you're feeling any neck pressure, it can feel really good to wing the shoulder blades in and let the arms swing out. You can also lift the chin up and back. Deep, abiding breath. Stay here only as long as it feels magnificent to you. And then please bring the feet in, plant, lift up, come on down, nice knee to belly up. Okay, we're gonna do one big movement in bridge pose, and those of you who are familiar with me, you know that I feel like bridge pose is one of the most valuable poses we have. So it's kind of fun to know there's a lot of different ways to play with it. In this version, we're going to start with our arms overhead, reaching for the wall behind. Now, if having your hands straight up from the shoulders just creates neck shoulder tension, just bring them out a little bit so it's more like a little bit of a Y. When you bring your arms into the next position, it's going to be the upper arm anchoring down position that we often do in bridge. Okay? So we're going to start here, arms overhead, anchoring through all four corners of the feet. Big inhale. Exhaling, second arm position. So up and over and raise the hips. Inhaling, descend the hips slowly and reach the arms up. Is there more? Exhaling, belly to spine, spine to floor. So we're not just lifting the hips, we're really coming from a core place as we make that second shake, arms anchored, hips. Inhale, slow descent of the hips, finding position one with the arms. Loving it. I'm seeing such slow movement, which tells me also that you slowed our breath way down. Fantastic. So notice we're not using a block between our thighs, but if you imagine that you have one there that you're holding, does that change your posture? For most of us, it will tend to wake up and ignite and use those inner thighs that are historically weak on us modern humans. The next time you are hips up, I'm going to invite you to add a foot hover. And again, it's much easier with your feet relatively close together. And what we want to do is just bring one foot an inch or so off the floor, pause and notice before slowly switching. So take all the time in the world with this. Try not to use your arms overly much to prop. If you feel that you're doing that, you can have your arms straight up like you're holding a loaf of bread above your chest. And when that's all complete, once again, slowly bring knees to belly. Rocking side to side, so good. And happy baby. So maybe you're clasping at the ankles, the blades of the feet, the big toes, using a strap. But I found one of the sort of two really beneficial parts of this pose to me. One is just centered, anchored through the core and the spine, drawing the knees as firmly towards the floor as you can, and then breathing deeply. And I find there's just some magnificent stretching, massaging available there through the pelvis and so on. The other is letting yourself kind of rock side to side. And this can bring us a marvelous massage into the kidneys and the low back area, and some of those big erector muscles, as well as the deeper spinal muscles, the QL and so on. Would it feel good to then bring your feet together in butterfly at the butt? And bring one foot at a time, kind of up the body towards the belly button. And allowing a natural rocking side to side. So in tonight's practice, we've done a lot of subtle twisting, right? So not the classic kind of laying down, reclined spinal twist, big movement. Lots of little twists. In your own time, release to horse riding stance, plant the feet, just raise the hips. We're just giving them an opposite shape. Hope it feels great. When you settle the hips, we'll then windshield wiper the right knee down towards the center line of the mat. Reach the right arm up behind. reaching for the wall, deep breath. In your own time, switching. Is this side, would it feel good to go back and forth a couple more times? Perhaps holding longer on one side if it needs it more. And then one final stretch and shake here. We're going to bring the soles of our feet together. So another version of butterfly. The feet are on the floor, soles of the feet touching. And once again, I like to bring my shoulder blade wingtips in towards the spine, arms winging out. And as you're ready, we'll make it a strengthening pose by raising the hips just an inch or two off the floor. We'll be holding this pose for about a minute. Obviously, if it's too much, come on down. Slowing and steadying the breath. So here we are with part of the body in effort, but the majority of us being able to just relax. It's about a minute. If you're feeling like, oh, I'm really digging this, I want to keep doing it longer, go for it. When you're complete, relax those legs out straight, maybe a little wider than our usual corpse pose. Ah. And I like when I said last. Let's do one last thing before our breath and resting. Abdominal pumping. So inhaling slow, deep and wide. Exhale, empty the breath. Hold the breath out and then engage the belly in towards the spine. You're saying, see how skinny I am? Press towards the ceiling and go back and forth until you need to breathe. I love, again, the abdominal massage for the organs, but I also can feel the tractioning and circulation happening through the sternum and the upper back. And I'm hoping you're getting some of that benefit too. Take a neutral breath, and if it feels appropriate, let's do one more round. When that feels complete, notice what, if anything, you need in terms of a follow-up shake. Again, maybe it needs to belly, I don't know. And then what do you need to be in a restful state? Do you need to add a layer? Do you need something under your knees, a bolster to recline upon? What would feel good? And we're going to come into one of our more basic, but I feel like profound pranayama practices, which is just our external and internal breath walk, external, internal kumbhaka, it's called. And one of the things that I love about it is that it's very relaxing and meditative for most people. But I also love that I feel like it actually, again, stretches and tonifies our breath apparatus so that we literally become more capable of deeper breath. The tissues can do that for us. So if you can, take that positive spin when you're feeling perhaps some tension and some stretching that sometimes make people feel a little anxious. And I just want you to remember, of course, you can breathe whenever you want to. So as you're ready, take just a regular inhale. Exhale and hold out external breath block. We hold out as long as we can without it becoming a struggle. So it takes a lot of awareness, moment by moment, noticing, is there more? Can I soften around this? When you need to inhale, breathe in, hold in. Continually scanning, curious, where is your body reacting with tension or contraction? Can you seduce it into softening? You need to breathe, go to the next block, holding. This is feeling wonderfully meditative and would like to continue. Please do. Otherwise, at any time, let the breath practice slip away. Invite your body and being to settle into your yogic rest. Each exhale, it's as if gravity got a little more powerful. It's inviting every muscle and bone in your body to soften, sink, and settle. Just begin to deepen your breath, and then still more. And let each breath be a little love note to the amazing wisdom in your body, noticing all the ways that our bodies are working beautifully, smoothly, quietly. That the areas where they may be kind of squeaky or loud are the exception. They're vibrantly well. If there's any other affirmation, communication you'd like to have with body and being, this is a beautiful time to do so. And then please, slow and steady as you make your way back into the evening. I'm so grateful that you joined us this evening. Look forward to launching a wonderful new year with all of you. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. See you soon at the mat.